Welcome to Crushgasm, the podcast dedicated to the highs and lows of crushes. From their first to their worst, we're going to cover them all with a cascade of characters, including our guest today, someone whose crush really bloomed in high school, Katie B, a large nostril-having expat, twin mom, and YouTuber who is here to talk not only about her streaming ways, but also her crush on one of the most iconic hotties of the 2000s, Legolas. Katie, how are you?
I am so good. Very, very nice introduction. I love it.
And are you ready to dive back into the early 2000s and talk about all the wonders that is your high school crush?
Oh, indeed.
Alrighty. So before we talk about him, I want to know, what were you like back in high school?
Back in high school, I was the kind of kid who I was too loud. I would just quote Shrek and sing Kelly Clarkson at the top of my lungs in the hallways everywhere I went. I was just that weird kid.
Shrek's iconic though. I hate to use the word over and over again, but it's so good. That first one was perfection.
Yeah, and the next ones didn't do too bad either. I just finally watched the fourth one. I was like, this is a good movie.
I don't think I've seen past, is 3 where he had like babies, because they were creepy. And I was like, I don't think I'm ready to dive into a fourth one if those little creepy things are involved.
But the fourth one is time travel, and he sees what his life would have been like if he hadn't saved Fiona.
Okay, a little Back to the Future action. Maybe I'll have to check it out.
Good.
Maybe if it's streaming somewhere, I will check out Shrek the Fourth. I'm assuming it's called.
Something like that.
So, being that you were like a sophomore maybe when Fellowship of the Ring came out, had you had like many real life crushes before then?
Oh yeah. I was the person who fell in love with boys in my class and sent embarrassing notes, and oh gosh, I shudder to think about how creepy I came across.
I know. There was a boy I liked in high school, and he lived a couple streets over, and he was like total like gothy Hot Topic, like extremely alternative. And I made my brother like take a note to him, and then like he never responded. I was like, oh, but yeah, it's creepy. And walk by their house. Once you found out where they live, you just walk by. It was creepy behavior.
I never had the freedom to walk around and find out where people lived. But I was like, I wanted to love people at a distance, and if they looked my way or walked near me, I would just want to hide and for the ground to swallow me up. It was never like a real thing.
What were a lot of your crushes like? Did you have a type?
They were funny, often blonde hair and blue eyes.
Same.
Yeah, there's something about blue eyes that's just so magical for us dark-eyed people. It's just like, it's like ice. It's like the ocean. Like, get lost in them. Oh.
In my psychology class, we had to write down all the things we liked about people, and it was usually what we didn't have. It's very interesting.
Okay, I'd love to dive down into that hole, but I know that's not what this is about.
Very interesting. That was in high school too. We learned about that. So were you a fan of like the Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit books before the movies came out? Or were you just like, here's the movies, they're amazing?
I had not been familiar too much with them. My dad had an old copy of the Silmarillion and the Hobbit, and I think probably the other books too, but the other books just looked too long. I had read the Hobbit as a kid. I remember that it was not an easy read at times. So I remember one time I had like this bowl of ground meat, and I would be like, if I finish this page, I'll eat another bit of meat.
Oh, that's how they do. Like when you're studying, you're supposed to put like gummy bears at each like paragraph to like motivate you. What they say.
Just such a random memory that's what I was eating of all things.
That is a very strange treat.
But so I was familiar. I had enjoyed The Hobbit as a kid. I had kind of picked my way around Silmarillion because, you know, the internet didn't exist when I was a kid. For our entertainment, we watched our parents' leftovers or looked at our parents' books. Mm-hmm. Or we read the waterlogged copies of Reader's Digest in the bathroom. Mm-hmm. Like, our entertainment was limited. So I had poked around the book, but at the time of high school, I had a best friend named Chappelle, and we went to all the movies. She had a job and I didn't, and she didn't want to go alone, so she paid for most of it. So that was a good deal.
Yeah, you just had to come along.
We watched every single Lord of the Rings movies 3 to 4 times.
Oh my God, in theaters?
In theaters.
And now, did you have theaters that had the recliners yet? Because those weren't like hit back in the early 2000s yet.
I do not recall, no. I remember being really like, okay, I'm not going to drink anything from this time so that I won't have to go to the bathroom.
I know, I hate going to the bathroom. Now there's like an app that'll tell you the best part to go to the bathroom in.
Oh my goodness.
Movie. Yeah, it's crazy. Like back in the day, I'd be like shaking, like, no, I'm not gonna go. I can't miss it. Can't miss anything.
We had the best times. The early 2000s were just the best. Like, we would run to the dollar store, fill our purses and pockets with candy, run back to the theater. There were so many. We went to midnight premieres for the Spider-Man movies. We got to hang out with random people playing card games while we waited. It was just, my life was movies and pretty much nothing else.
Were you someone that, you said you saw all movies, but did you too lean more towards like the fantasy movies?
Well, there was one kind of movie we did not watch, and that was horror. But other than that, we really loved action, adventure.
Horror is not something I got into till I was older, but even today, I find most of them cheesy and funny, not too scary. I think, it's just like my older brother is a typical metalhead horror movie fan, and he would watch them, and I was like terrified of Chucky, like terrified. I would put weights on my toy box at night because I was like, I love my Barbies during the day, but at night I was like, these bitches, no, they're gonna get me. Yeah, so but as a now older, I like love the new Chucky series. It was one of my favorite things last year. So it's interesting how we change. But in the movie, I 100% agree. Legolas was one of my high school crushes as well. But outside the movie, I can't deny that Elijah Wood, Dominic Monaghan, even that Vigo guy, they're really hot too. Did you ever crush on anyone else in the movie? Or was it like Legolas all day?
It wasn't really anyone else. And like, I admired him from a distance, but my family would tease me about him.
Oh,
and
why?
Because of having something to tease people about. I don't remember being all in for him and just ogling him during the movies. I was really in it for the story, but there was just something so exciting about him, the long blonde hair. And usually I like my men to be more clean shaven, but the piercing eyes, and of course Orlando Bloom in Pirates of the Caribbean. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Talk about a glow up.
So in the grand scheme of things, was it just his eyes that made Legolas stand out and make you fall into like this crush mode?
Yeah. And like intensity. There's like this intensity of the gaze. Like, have you seen the TV show Lucifer?
No.
Holy schmoly. Tom Ellis is in my guilt-free 3. Boy, howdy. The intensity of those dark, beautiful eyes, just like, oh.
Now, a couple weeks ago, I was talking to Shannon. She hosts the Game and Nerds podcast, and her crush is Sebastian Stan of Marvel Universe fame, Bucky Barnes. And we got into hair. Now, you said like you're usually more clean shaven, so was Legolas's hair not like the most appealing thing to you, or you would have been like, maybe I wish he was a little more like Vigo's character with that like brown shoulder length?
I just kind of accepted the whole package for what it was. Like the whole package of graceful elven fluid movement, the intensity of the gaze, the way that a smile changes such stark concentrated features into something like even more mystically beautiful.
Now, you already mentioned Pirates of the Caribbean, which again I was obsessed. Like, I like Legolas, but I'll admit I didn't see past Fellowship of the Ring because they were long movies. I know my husband is like he loves the Lord of the Rings, but Pirates of the Caribbean, I was all in. I went to every time it came out. Me and my little brother were like in it to win it. So what was it about William Turner for you?
He's so earnest about doing the right thing, and he's just so like face just carved by the gods, just perfect. It's hard to put your finger on it. It feels like it's been 100 years since I saw the movies, but now that I come to think of it, maybe like it has been like almost 20 years since the first Pirates was out, wasn't it?
I think next year will be the 20th anniversary. I know.
I hate to say this, but we're getting old.
No, time's just like trucking along. Millennials will never get old because we won't admit it.
It's true. And we will just dig more into our sentimentality.
I think it's because we also have so much. I think we're the last generation to truly have a plethora of pop culture to go back to. Like kids today, I'm like, what are you grasping towards that's not on a little tiny phone? Or like, what are your cartoons? What are your like icons? They don't have a JTT. They don't have the OC. So I'm like, what are you watching? In 20 years, what will your kids look back on, you know?
My kids are going to look back on Paw Patrol and pajama heroes. I can't remember what it's called in English, but Pyjamas Hjältarna is what it's called in Swedish.
Yeah, I'm just like...
But they're only 5, so...
Like my nephew, I'm like, what? He loves like The Simpsons. I think that's still popping with the kids. I don't know. I don't know how he stumbled upon it, but... And like Roblox. So how do you think your crush between Legolas differs from your crush on William Turner? Because yes... They're the same human, but very, very different.
I think they both still have that same intensity of focus of fighting for what they believe in. So they don't seem that different to me in that way.
Now, you mentioned these crushes kind of stopped though because you got too busy as a traveling actor. Have you tried to go back and watch other Orlando Bloom movies he might have done after the fact, or are you just sticking with those two?
I don't really have time to go back and watch stuff I already know what's going to happen. Like, there's too many new stories to explore. Like, I've been binging Lucifer. Like, it's so great. The thing I didn't mention about the kind of person I was in high school was it ebbed and flowed the way that it was, but I would be like super religious and super not, super just blasé. So there would be like a sense of guilt attached to crushes and watching too many movies. I used to think I could never watch a show like Lucifer. Oh, the devil, it's another reason. No horror movies. But like, I've been in a state of deconstruction for a couple of years now. So like, okay, I've unraveled. I don't believe in hell anymore. I can watch this show now. It's like I'm 35 years old going through a rebellion.
Well, if you need to rebel and you need like an intense show to watch that has a little dark side, watch the Vampire Diaries or the originals. Oh my God. The originals, especially if you like intense stares, Klaus Michelson, who is a hybrid vampire werewolf. It gets nice. A little, I mean, they moved it from like one night to Friday, and then I lost track. So one day I will go back. And anyway, so when you have time to binge, are you going to watch the new Lord of the Rings series on Amazon Prime? I don't think Legolas is involved, but still.
I would, but I'm poor. I mean, I won't always be, but the only thing that I have right now is Netflix.
So not always, but sometimes we have the opportunity to play one of my favorite games on the show, which is Bang, Marry, Kill. And today is one of those opportunities. So we're going to play that with Legolas, Orlando Bloom, and William Turner. And I mean, again, it's all Orlando Bloom, but they bring different things to the table. So go.
Okay. Bang, William Turner, marry. Oh, shoot. This is really hard. I guess kill Legolas and marry Orlando Bloom.
All right. Good choices, because Orlando Bloom's the real one for the job that pays. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Legolas was like getting money for his adventures. And William Turner was like a pirate and they have to steal him. So.
And like Orlando Bloom's already married to a Katie, right? So it's not that much of a shift.
He wouldn't have to learn a new name.
I basically look exactly the same as Katy Perry.
Well, she has her brown hair. Now I don't know what she is.
And when she's like 60 more pounds overweight.
I mean, she's wonderful. You're wonderful.
More to love.
So Lord of the Rings is all about fantasy, and we're gonna go more down that hole right now. So if you could live your life out, even though you killed him in our game with Legolas, in the Lord of the Rings realm, how do you think your lives would be?
Oh gosh, I would be like one of those people that's like the first to die in the village. That's like run over by orcs. Like I don't run fast. I don't have any skills.
In fantasy though, if you could you guys move to like the Shire, you're next to like Frodo, he's your neighbor, maybe Sam.
Yeah.
You guys can do board game night.
Board game nights, yes. have a million animals, million pets.
So that would be your life. It would either be really great or you would get killed by orcs.
Yeah, like really fast. I bet you don't get many people answering the question that way.
Sometimes they are honest. Like I had Scott, he does a podcast called Writer's Bagel Basket about TV and movies, and he was like the most realistic person about crushes. He's like, I just wish her well. I don't want to be with her. I just like hope she has a good life. Like I'm already married. So it was really
That's
normal.
so wholesome.
Yeah. So now it's time to talk more about what you have going on. We mentioned earlier that your crush sort of fizzled because you got busy as a traveling actor. Is that something you did right after high school?
I waited 1 year, and for the longest time then I only had crushes on Mexican guys, and ended up dating one, and it was not a good situation, and I'm actually uploading a video about it on my YouTube channel soon about purity culture and feeling like a worthless piece of garbage. Nice light stuff there.
As a traveling actor, like at 19, where did that take you? Were you like in plays or?
Yeah, it was a very strange thing. It's so hard to explain because it's so out of most people's ideas of what could possibly be. But we basically lived out of a van for 9 months out of the year, staying as guests in people's houses. And I spent my first 2 years in the US, and then I went to Europe on my 21st birthday. I traveled all over German-speaking countries, French-speaking countries, went to South Africa and had twins. Not in Africa. The kids were born in Sweden, thank goodness, because I'm poor. If you're poor in South Africa, you do not get the care that you need for premature births.
So is that how you met your husband?
Indeed.
Traveling as an actor?
Yes. We're in Germany. That's where people join from Europe. In America, people join and congregate in California, in Southern California. So we met in Germany, and we met in 08. We became a couple in 2000. No, met in 08, became a couple in 09, got married in 2010. And that's where I got my blonde-haired, blue-eyed Swede.
You're like, you got little Legolases.
Now I do. You saw them.
Yeah.
You're like, doesn't get much more blonde-haired, blue-eyed than my kids.
Now, when or rather, how did you decide to jump into the world of YouTube?
Yeah, after doing this job for over a decade of traveling around, it was my whole life. It was like we had to book our own people. We had to book our calendars. We had to learn lines. I had to perform plays in other languages. I was really using a lot of my brain here. And then I was a mom, and I was just a milk cow, and I needed something to really dive into 100%. And I'd wanted to do YouTube since 2008. I bought a video camera, but I couldn't get the footage off of the mini DVD discs onto the computer. It was so there was this vlogger, Colleen Ballinger, Miranda Sings.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd watched her vlogs for years, and it just kind of clicked, like, I can do that. It's not that fancy. She's just putting her memories together and putting it out there. And I decided to go for it and spend 3 years. And we're recording this the 5th of March. And yesterday I hit 1,000 subscribers.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
You already mentioned Colleen, but is there other YouTubers that kind of you drew inspiration from in the beginning, or even still today? I mean, you're always learning. Yeah, people that I draw inspiration from. I mean, like I have some really wonderful friends that I've made through being a YouTuber. There's this guy named Ryan. Ow, sorry, my cat is biting my head. I think I'm gonna put you down there, kitty. It's hard to come up with people off the top of my head. So is there one trend in YouTube that you wish would cease to exist? Like you just watch and you're like, how is this on here? I am so freaking sick of people saying, smash that like button or smash that subscribe. Just stop saying it already. It's so boring. Like, and in the putting the hand up transition is just,
that could go ahead and go away. When people like talk for 100 years, like the title of this thing is like why you should feed cats, and then they talk for 5 minutes about what's going on in their life before they get to the point.
That's like I cook a lot with recipes, and you just want the recipe, and they give you like a life story about their grandma on a farm and like this and that, and you're just like, I just want to make cookies. I don't really need the backstory of this that doesn't have to do with cookies.
I hate it when they don't, like, the very beginning of the video, they haven't given you anything. They haven't told you what the video is about, but they say, like this video and subscribe. Why are you asking people to do something without giving them any reason about why you should do it?
I agree.
But you asked a question that I could go off for an hour about, so I'm going to let it go.
I also don't like I don't know. There's a lot of things I don't like.
There's a lot.
The YouTube realm and the YouTubers I watch a lot, but they're popular, so they must be doing something right. So what do you have coming up on your channel in the coming weeks, months, as we're approaching like the summer, late spring?
Well, my voice just cracked there like I'm 97 years old. Wow. I'm going to go ahead and hydrate. Hopefully I will have a lot of videos up from this new series. I've been having pre-conversations with people so that when I record, I'm really ready. And it's a whole series of getting free from toxic thinking, reclaiming trauma, and using it to change the world. Just putting that message out there that people that are in terrible situations don't deserve to be there, and they can always get out. I do already have conversations of people who were crazy street preachers and who were stuck in spiritually and physically and mentally abusive marriages that got out. And yeah, that just resonates so deeply in me. Like, I've had amazing conversations on my channel. I've talked to rock stars and actors and authors, so many cool people. And it's like seeing how it all comes together is we can get so stuck inside of our own little perspective that we just kind of forget that the rest of the world is out there. And that's like the only way to learn compassion is to see things from other people's point of view.
Is there anyone that comes to mind that's been like the most eye-opening so far?
Ooh, it was a really wonderful conversation with Scott Page. He played with Toto and Pink Floyd in the 80s. And the things that he said about, are you awake? Like, it's so easy to just go through the motions of life. That was something that really stuck. And I've had a couple of wonderful conversations with an electric dance music artist named Dantes Alexander, and been really deep and meaningful and just heartfelt conversations with them that were really touching.
And you said like you're a busy mom. Do you feel like starting the YouTube has helped like you get out there more? I know moms can be like, I had just a single mom, so I know how busy it can be. So has this been a way to connect to people more? And I know you're like overseas, it might be harder to see family as much.
Absolutely. Like, doing YouTube actually led me to my job now, which is editing videos for others. And it's led me to another passion of connecting with people who want to share their story. But it's so lonely being an expat in Sweden, being a mom. My kids do go to school, but I'm home in front of my computer all day. And so if I didn't have my podcast conversations, I wouldn't like have a chance to talk to people some weeks.
I think also with the pandemic, that's a lot of podcasts started up because I think we just wanted some type of interaction. It was like you're in a house with just like maybe 1 or 2 or 3 other people. You're just like, I'm over these people. Let me find somebody else in this world I could talk to. Mine started last year, I believe. Yeah, because I was like, all right, my husband's cool, but let me get to this. So,
absolutely.
Can you tell people where they can find you online?
Yes. My YouTube channel is called Epic Kate Bjärgvide. And I know that sounds like a very scary name, but if you just look up Epic Kate, I should pop up. If you want me to, I can spell it out though. BJARGVIDE. I'm on Instagram. I don't upload all that regularly, but you can. I've dumped quite a few cat pictures there.
I love cats.
Yes, it's I am Epic Kate with those little underscores in between the words. I also have a second YouTube channel for people who are YouTubers or who want to be and that's called YouTubing with Katie, because it's about getting to the heart of creating. There's so many people that are like, 5 ways that you can explode your channel in 5 seconds, and it's like, come on, no. What about the content? What about actually sharing your heart and knowing you're getting inspiration and motivation?
So you have lessons, you have conversations, you have it all.
And vlogs too.
Vlogs. Well, Katie B, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today about your high school crush. And everyone, you can find all of Katie B's information below. And until next time, keep crushing it.